With there being seemingly too many credit cards to choose from nowadays, how does one differentiate itself? Well, the Capital One Venture X appears to have done just this with receiving endless praise online, so much so that I actually opened one myself a little over a year ago. But does the Capital One Venture X live up to its hype, or does it simply not pack enough of a punch to offset its hefty $395 annual fee? Before we go through and answer this question, I'll give you all a few quick seconds to subscribe to the channel so that way you can stay up to date with all things credit card and award travel related. All right, let's get on with things. To help you understand if the Venture X is a good fit for you, I'll run through all of the main perks and benefits you can expect to get with this card, as well as telling you all my personal experience with each of these perks and benefits as I've been able to use them over the last year. We're going to start things off with the welcome offer and the earning categories on this card, because even if you don't care about airport lounge access and other perks and credits that come with this card, you should definitely at least be aware of these two factors. Now, the welcome offer is pretty competitive, I would argue, coming in at 75,000 miles after spending $4,000 on this card in the first 3 months of card ownership. That's right on par with the Chase Sapphire Reserve, another premium travel credit card in the space. But in my opinion, the earning categories is really where this card shines, because for the Capital One Venture X, you get a flat 2x points per dollar spent on everything. It could be dining, it could be gas, it could be entertainment. You swipe your card and you're getting 2x points per dollar on all of your purchases. You can earn more than that. As you see, you can earn up to 5x points per dollar on flights and vacation rentals booked through the Capital One Travel Portal. The Capital One Travel Portal has a lot of influence as to how you can earn points and miles and redeem value with this card, but I'll talk about that a little bit later on. And where you can earn the most points on this card is by getting up to 10x points per dollar spent on hotels and rental cars booked through the Capital One Travel Portal. Now, for me, I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. I think my absolute favorite aspect of this card is the 2x points per dollar spent on everything. I do have quite a lot of credit cards. I think the current amount is 18 at the moment. And kind of a side effect of having so many credit cards is that there's going to be pretty much a card in each particular situation that is optimal. So let's say I'm staying at a Hilton property. I need to pay with my Hilton credit card. Then I need to make sure I pay with my Bill card or my Chase Sapphire Reserve. If I'm getting gas, then I don't even know which one of my cards gets the best multiplier on gas. And that's kind of my point, where with this card, you're getting a flat 2x back on everything. Even if you cash these points out at 1 cent a piece, then you're still getting basically 2% cash back on everything. Now, I would argue these points are much more valuable, and I'll explain how valuable in just a second. But being able to have the peace of mind that if I have my Capital One Venture X, the physical or just the the virtual card, and I tap to pay, I'm getting 2x points per dollar, and I'm not leaving too many points out there on the table for not perfectly optimizing my spend. As far as the 5x points on flights and vacation rentals and the 10x on hotels and rental cars, I haven't really been able to take advantage of that one, because I don't book vacation rentals or rental cars, and pretty much every single flight or hotel in the last year, pretty much since owning the card, has been paid for with points and miles. So I'm definitely not their target customer for someone who's paying cash traditionally for a lot of flights and hotels, but those are incredibly competitive multipliers for those categories, and I'll make sure to take advantage of them if I ever get the opportunity. Now, if when I said this card has a $395 annual fee, you got scared, I honestly don't blame you. It's one of the most expensive yearly annual fee credit cards out there you can hold in your wallet. But I will say Capital One does a fantastic job of helping reimburse you for that yearly annual fee and sort of making up the difference. The first way they do this is by giving you 10,000 bonus miles each year you renew the card. So let's say year 1, you open the card, you don't get these anniversary miles, but year 2, you really loved holding the card, you loved all the perks and benefits, and you decide to renew the card, you pay your $395 annual fee. Capital One is going to just go ahead and deposit 10,000 bonus miles into your account just for paying the annual fee. I'm not familiar with too many other cards that do this, and especially with how valuable Capital One miles can be, they're basically just giving you a ton of free value. The other main way to recoup the cost of that annual fee is through the very famous $300 annual travel credit when booking any travel through the Capital One portal. I think this does apply for flights, hotels, and rental cars. I'm not sure about vacation bookings, but personally, I was able to use this $300 annual travel credit last year when booking a hotel that was more than $300, and so I got the whole value of my credit in one single booking, which was really nice. And the great thing about this credit in particular is it is available the day you open your card. So if you know you're gonna have to be booking flights or hotels out of pocket in the next few months, you can open this card, and the first year of card ownership, you do have access to that $300 annual travel credit, again, to help recoup the cost of the annual fee. And last but certainly not least is the $120 global entry or TSA pre-check credit. Now, I've had TSA pre-check for the last few years, and so when I opened this card, I didn't initially have a use for it, but I found out that you could actually pay for someone else's application using this card and still get the credit. So that's exactly what I did. My girlfriend was submitting to get global entry. The application fee came up. I typed in my card details, the payment processed, and then within, I think it was a few short days or maybe a week or two later, the credit was applied back to my account. And so even if you already have global entry or TSA pre-check, you can pay for a friend's or family member's application, obviously if you trust them or you want to enter the card information yourself. But it's just another creative way to help recoup some of the initial cost of opening this card. Now, I'm someone that each and every year I pay over $4,000 in credit card annual fees, but my effective annual fees are actually in the negative, where I'm actually paid each and every year to keep the cards I have open, even if I don't spend on them. And that is because cards like the Capital One Venture X exist. For this card, every year you renew the card from year 2 and beyond. This is basically how you recoup the cost of your card. You're gonna get $300 back in the annual travel credit. You're gonna get that $100 back in the form of 10,000 bonus miles. And again, it's only worth $100 if you cash them out for statement credits at that 1 cent per point value, and can be worth much more. Subtracting the $395 annual fee, you're left with $5 every year in positive value. So not every card is going to be able to do this. Mostly it's the more premium cards and cards with annual fees that offer perks and benefits and statement credits for having the card open. But if you open the Capital One Venture X today, you're able to use the $300 travel credit every year, use the 10,000 bonus miles, and pay the $395 annual fee. Well, then you're left with $5 left over. And again, that's excluding any other perks, benefits, or statuses that do come with this card. But in my opinion, I think this card can return way more than that each and every year in terms of value. And so let me break down how I've been able to value in the last year. As it pertains to using my Capital One miles and redeeming them, I am yet to redeem them for statement credit or gift cards or anything that is not travel. Now, if you redeem your Capital One miles through the Capital One travel portal, they are valued at a 1 cent per point valuation, meaning if I spend 10,000 miles to book a hotel, book a flight, I am only going to be getting $100 in credit to that flight or to that hotel. But if you're able to transfer your points out to one of their many different transfer partners, on average, you can expect to get around 1.85 cents per point if you're able to, again, find good redemptions. And for me, that has been with Virgin Atlantic or Flying Blue. I also did recently transfer out a good chunk of my Capital One miles to Emirates, so that way I could book a business class flight with Emirates. And of course, when you book a business class flight using credit card points and miles, you're getting much more value than just 1 cent per point. Into the Points Guy, which is a respectable brand and source of information in the credit card points and miles game, they value Capital One miles at 1.85 cents per point. And personally, I would corroborate that information over the last year of owning my card and being able to transfer my points again out to Virgin Atlantic and Flying Blue to book Delta flights. I've been able to get around 2 cents per point per value for my points. And so if we value those 10,000 bonus miles each and every year, we get, assuming you're able to transfer them out and to get a little extra value, then instead of getting paid just $5 a year, you're getting paid almost $100 per year in additional value for just keeping this card open. Again, that's assuming you transfer out your points and get pretty decent value with them, and you're also able to properly use the $300 annual travel credit that you're given. And I will have to say the Capital One Venture X has been incredibly easy to use over the last year. I'm someone who holds an American Express Platinum. I have the Chase Sapphire Reserve. I have a number of other credit cards that come with quarterly, monthly statement credits, all this sort of stuff that I have to track and keep a tally of what have I used, what have I not used, what statement credits do I have left, what extra value do I need to get from this card. But the Capital One Venture X, it's so easy. As long as you're able to use that $300 travel credit and pay the annual fee, you're gonna get miles that you can then transfer out and get extra value. You don't need to go sign up for things you don't typically use. You don't need to spend extra money. It truly is a premium travel credit card that gives a lot of extra value with probably the least amount of legwork of any of the cards that I have. And speaking of transferring your points out to different partners to get outsized value, this is a list of all of Capital One's current travel partners. A few to note that I think are really worthwhile to mention. That's gonna be Air Canada, Aeroplan, probably Emirates, Skywards, Virgin Red, which you can then transfer points to Virgin Atlantic to book Delta flights. I would also say British Airways is great because you can then get your points into the Avios system. Qantas has been popping up a bit more on my radar recently with some good economy and business class redemptions. And then Air France, KLM, Flying Blue is just an elite program when it comes to transferring your points out and getting a really great value. And I know I've mentioned multiple times transferring my points out to Virgin Atlantic and Flying Blue to book Delta flights, which might sound backwards and really confusing, but I recently uploaded a video on how this is possible. So if you're curious on how you can do this yourself, I'll link that video down below in the description. But we still are nowhere near done because this card still packs so much additional value. Another one of the features the Capital One Venture X is most well known for is giving you a free yearly membership to Priority Pass. Now I'm showing you all these prices because one, I think they're a little inflated, but the Prestige is what you will get access to if you open the Capital One Venture X. But I'm gonna be totally honest in saying that never in my right mind would I pay $469 per year for a a Party Pass membership. The first reason is because this membership is included with most luxury travel credit cards, the Amex Platinum, the Chase Sapphire Reserve, the Capital and Venture X. And secondly being, these are all of the lounge locations. Now, this is actually an insane coverage map compared to one I'm going to show you in a second, which is the Capital and Venture X lounge locations. And if you're thinking, well, why is this a downside? Why are these locations not a good thing? And that's because Party Pass, at least in the United States, has partnered with a lot of non-airport lounge uses, I guess you could say. One of them is called Minute Suites. You basically use your Party Pass membership to get 1 hour for free in a Minute Suite location. They have like a bed in there or a couch that turns into a bed and a little desk. So it's not a lounge, but there's no food or drinks included. So you're basically using your Party Pass membership to sit in a room for an hour at the airport. It could be worth it. I've never used it myself. You also can get access to, I think, spas and some like massage locations. You can get a free complimentary 30-ish minute massage. And then within that map I just showcased, there are airport lounges in the United States that you get access to with Priority Pass. But I've been to just one Party Pass lounge in my life in the United States, and it was in the Atlanta airport. If you just Google Atlanta Party Pass Airport Lounge, you're gonna see why I've never gone back to it. The reviews are terrible. The wait lines are super long. The food is hit or miss, and that's saying it nicely. And that's not to say every location is like that. I know there are some lounges you get access to with Party Pass, but I think a lot of people online really overstate and overblow how amazing the Party Pass membership is. If you're opening up the Capital and Venture X for the main reason of getting airport lounge access, don't. Like I said, there are maybe a few airports where the Party Pass lounges there are pretty decent, not overcrowded, and offer some a decent experience. But most of the times, the lounges either aren't good, or the locations that they show on this map, again, are going to be non-airport lounge benefits in the first place. And so if you're curious on what the best credit card to open is to get airport lounge access, I also recently did a deep dive a few weeks ago, and I'll link that video down below in the description. So while the Party Pass offerings aren't that strong and are probably a little overblown, Capital One is actively expanding their domestic lounge network with their Capital One lounges, which, as you can see in the top right hand corner, you get unlimited complimentary access to Capital One lounges as a Venture X holder. For me, I was this close recently to visiting my first ever Capital One lounge with my Venture X. I was in the DFW airport where they have one of the locations, and I didn't have my physical card. I looked up on Reddit. It was a very hit or miss situation. It seemed like most of the times they were requiring you to have your physical Capital One Venture X card to get into the lounge. And since I didn't have a lot of time on my hand, I just went and chilled in this Centurion lounge instead. But if you currently fly out of one of the 3 airports with a Capital One lounge, well, then this card could actually be a really good fit for you. Those airports are going to be the DFW airport, the Denver airport, and the Washington DC IAD airport. They do also have plans to open 4 more lounges. The first one being in DCA Washington Reagan Airport, the New York LaGuardia Airport, New York JFK, and the Las Vegas Airport. So they do have more lounges coming soon, but unfortunately, most of their lounges they're going to be opening up are already airports where you can get lounge access if you open up a premium credit card, either that being the Chase Sapphire Reserve or the Amex Platinum. So the Capital and Venture X doesn't really fill any voids domestically with lounge access, in my opinion, that you can't already find with another credit card. I will say the Priority Pass is excellent overseas. I recently, earlier this year, took a trip to Europe, and we were in and out of a few different airports, and every single airport we were in, even some smaller ones, managed to offer a really great experience with a Priority Pass lounge. If you're someone who does a lot of international flying and you're in a lot of European or Asian airports, then I think that's where Priority Pass can really shine, not so much here domestically. It's also very worth addressing the guest policy for lounge access with the Capital and Venture X. As it pertains to Priority Pass lounges, you can bring in unlimited free guests with you, meaning that could be 1, 2, 4. I've even seen data points of up to like 6 or 8 people entering a Priority Pass lounge with a Capital and Venture X membership. And as it relates to the Capital One lounges, you can only bring up to 2 free guests. That is on par with the Chase lounges and the access the Chase Sapphire Reserve gets you, but compared to the Amex Platinum, where you can't bring in any free guests until you've spent $75,000 on the card in a single year, the Capital and Venture X definitely surpasses both the Chase Sapphire Reserve and the Platinum in regards to its guest policies. Now, I'm gonna be honest and say I've never actually taken advantage of these other features that the card offers. One being price drop protection, where if you book what they recommend, we'll keep watching the price for 10 days, and if it manages to drop, they'll give you up to $50 in travel credit to help cover the distance. The other one is price match guarantee, where if you book a trip through the Capital and Travel Portal and then find a better deal on another site within 24 hours, they'll again give you the difference in travel credit. And the last one being price prediction and alerts, where they use some sort of not knowledge and system to predict whether the price of a flight or travel is going to go up or down or stay the same. And I mentioned earlier on that one of the keys to getting max value with this card is using the Capital One travel portal, because for most of the benefits with this card, it's going to require you to book your travel through the portal, either to earn those elevated multipliers in the card or to get some of these travel protections and sort of other benefits with the card, and of course to get your travel credit. And so it's just something to keep in mind if you traditionally book flights directly with airlines or with hotels, that you're going to need to make sure you book through the portal to really maximize this card. And before jumping into the last perk and benefit with this card, I do want to let you know that the Capital One Adventure X kind of has a secret superpower, and that is the fact that you can add up to 3 authorized users on this card completely free. There is no additional charge for you to add an authorized user for your card. And so where the superpower comes in is you're able to give a card to your children or to your spouse, or I guess to another authorized user that you really trust. But in doing this, they also get access to the Capital One lounges, and they also get their very own Priority Pass membership. And so basically you can get 3 authorized users, and those users now have a really decent lounge access here domestically and internationally when it comes to flying. And so although I personally haven't added any additional authorized users, I did want to make sure you're aware of that really great perk. And lastly, to round off benefits that I think most people could take advantage of is the Hertz President Circle status completely for free. Now, I haven't even done this myself, but just by opening up this card and being a Venture X holder, you get access to the tippy top status at Hertz. And one of the great things about car rental companies is that they like to status match between company to company, meaning let's say that I have Hertz President status, then I can go to a number of other car rental companies out there and say, hey, I've got the top status at Hertz, what are you going to give me? So you can kind of go around from company to company with this one singular status, and after a few weeks have the top status or one of the top statuses at most of the car rental companies. And so it's a benefit I don't think is talked about too much, but it can be really valuable if you're someone renting a lot of cars, getting the top status at a ton of different companies. And truthfully, I think that's where the perks and benefits for the average consumer ends. There are some other niche perks and benefits you can get with this card, but on average, 95% of people watching today's video are only ever going to take advantage of these perks and benefits. I will be coming out with a follow-up video of all the benefits you need to do when you get this card. But again, if you're considering opening up the Capital One Venture X, I really think you need to answer just a few questions. The first one being, do I already spend $300 a year on travel? If the answer is yes, well then that's one of the main check boxes you need to hit, because you're going to be able to put $300 of travel on this card through the travel portal and get reimbursed for it every single year. If you're someone who doesn't spend that much on travel, well then getting a credit for something you're not already spending on just doesn't make too much sense, and you're not actually saving money, you're actually just kind of losing money. And the next would be, am I looking to elevate my travel experience? This card is great for elevating travel experiences. One, because you get access to global entry or TSA pre-check for free, and if you're someone who travels more than once or twice a year by flying, then just trust me, it's so worth it. But on top of that, you'll get elevated status when it comes to rental car companies. You get access to Priority Pass lounges domestically and internationally, and although I know I was just pretty harsh on the domestic Priority Pass experience, it still can provide value depending on what you're looking for on your travel days and in airports. And then lastly, are you someone who would be interested in getting a little bit more deeper and more experience in the credit card points and miles game? Now, this one isn't as important as the others in my opinion, but since you are getting 10,000 free bonus anniversary miles per year, and since the miles rack up a little bit faster on this card than most other cards, just because that 2x multiplier category, if you're someone who's just going to be opening the card and using them for statement credit, that is fine. You're getting value back, you're decreasing the overall cost of your annual fee, and I am perfectly okay with that. But the Capital One ecosystem for transferring out miles is rather competitive and has a lot of good potential for you to transfer your points and for you to get free flights, potential free hotels, and to just lower the overall cost of your travel. And so if you're someone who answered yes to all those questions, then I think the Capital One Venture X could be a good fit for you. And I know, again, the $395 annual fee is a hefty one, but I hope I've explained all the benefits and perks of opening this card enough so that way it's not so scary. And the main thing would just be figuring out if you could properly use all the benefits this card offers. Of course, I'll be leaving a link to the card down below in the description if you're considering applying for it. Using that link would greatly help support the channel and support the content that I produce. And if you like today's video, well then I've got a really good feeling you're gonna love this one, and so I'll see you over there.